what is happening in Nigeria? Here's a breakdown of everything you need to know. Over the last few days, Nigerian youths have been protesting both online and offline against SARS using the hashtag #EndSARS. So what is SARS? SARS literally stands for Special Anti-Robbery Squad, which is a branch of the Nigerian police force that was founded in 1992. So let's go through what SARS was set up to do versus what they actually ended up doing. SARS was set up to deal with any crimes involving robbery, kidnapping, or any other crimes involving firearms. Rather than doing that, they basically were violating human rights. This involved sexual harassment and raping of women, illegal detention of youth, illegal and irrational profiling. Literally, the profiling was as ridiculous as having dreadlocks, piercing, an expensive mobile phone, an expensive car. That is one of the reasons that they could stop you. So I literally could be walking on the street in Nigeria and I will be stopped because I looked out of the norm. Extremely ridiculous. So when did SARS actually stop doing what they were hired to do? They started growing in notoriety in 2010, the same year that Amnesty International informed the Nigerian police that they will be sued for human rights abuse. In the same year 2010, a report came out alleging that the SARS and other police unit had benefited a total of 9.3 billion naira, an equivalent of $60 million from roadblocks and extortion. So it became clear that their mission had changed. What was their new mission? Make more money by any means necessary. Basically, from 2010, SARS continued to grow in numbers and in notoriety until 2017, when Brother Shegun was like, enough is enough. So using the hashtag #EndSARS, he went to social media along with other courageous Nigerian youth protesting against SARS and calling for an end to police brutality and police oppression. Prior to what's happening now, a lot of people have started signing online petitions for the total disbandment of SARS. Protests had shifted offline, where there were peaceful gatherings across different states in Nigeria. So what really led to the uproar in October? It started October 3rd, 2 days after Nigeria's 60th independence, where a video was trending on social media of a SARS police officer shooting and killing a young man in front of a hotel in Delta State after they had taken his Lexus SUV. By the 8th of October, it became a nationwide protest. People were angry. Literally, the frustrations of all the years of dealing with this barbaric squad, people had had enough. There was a nationwide protest, and yet this protest was interrupted by the very same SARS who harassed Nigerian citizens who were protesting peacefully. They attacked them with tear gas, spraying them with water, destroying their cars, arresting them illegally. People had had enough, and yet with all of that force and every attempt to end the protest, they did not succeed. And by October the 11th, the Inspector General of Police had announced the total disbandment of SARS. We have to give credit for the little victory, right? But now the question is, why are people still very angry? The announcement of the total disbandment of SARS happened on the 11th of October, but there is still very much active protest happening in Nigeria. Why is that? So here is what I've gathered from the current climate of what is happening in Nigeria. The first thing is, a day after the disbandment, on the 12th of October, an innocent protester was shot and killed. A lot of people were injured, and still so many people were illegally arrested. The second point is, people are very, very angry. The youth are angry with the older generation, for the lack of a better word. First is the politicians, okay, that have basically gotten us to the situation that we're in. Second, having spoken to a lot of my friends back home in Nigeria, they're very angry at our parents. Yes, I went there. Because a lot of parents are actively preventing their children from going on the streets to protest. And I do understand that it comes from a place of love, because you know or you fear that your child might get hurt. But this is a chicken and an egg situation, because if every parent prevented their children from going out to the streets to protest, who is going to protest? How is change going to come? Like, literally, we will not achieve anything. And having chatted to a lot of my friends who are still considered youth, the summary is Nigeria is the way it is because all of the older generation have had to keep quiet and suppressed the oppression. But newsflash, we live in a millennial digital age where people are woke and hyper connected. So news travels fast and people are fed up. And the feedback is the older generation, our parents, our politicians, you really need to be woke and hyper connected. That's just the feedback. The third is the silence from the government. Like, it literally took our president a gazillion years to actually make a comment about this. Literally, his speech was a day ago. And there was nothing tangible. Like, I have had chats with my friend about President Buhari's comment. And everyone echoes the same thing. It's basically, well, he's sitting there reading off a script. There is nothing that shows emotion. There's nothing that shows that he's connected with the situation. Like, literally, the people who we've entrusted our future to are so emotionally disconnected that nothing we face really affects them. So that is something that the youth find very worrying. Another reason is this is the fourth time that SARS is being banned. And I suppose in this situation, there's a difference between banned and disbandment. I mean, somebody please explain this to me, because apparently they banned them in the past 4 times. So right now that the government have announced a total disbandment of SARS, the fact of the matter is people don't believe it, especially because the news came out in such a way that was basically interpreted as, we're going to take the same people, disguise them, spread them into the same police force, call them something else, and basically it's the same people perpetuating the same thing. So what is the change here? I mean, let's circle back to 2018, where one of the reforms of SARS was to basically add an F in front of SARS. So we literally went from SARS to FSARS. I mean, the fact is people don't believe that this is the last time, that literally that this is for real. And that's why people are still protesting. Now, from what I've gathered, the only way that we can level up with the youth who have quite frankly had enough is the 5 of 5 hashtag that is going on. So I'm not saying don't use the hashtag NSAS anymore. But the fact of the matter is, well, if the government have announced that SARS has totally been disbanded, now that people are still on the street, they're literally demanding 5 things that have to happen before they're assured that this time it is for real. Now let's go through those 5 things. The first is to release all detained protesters around the country. 2, compensation and justice for the families of the people who were killed as a result of police brutality. 3 is the investigation and prosecution of police officers who were involved in these crimes, and while doing that, set up an independent body and broadcast it live so we know that there's no foul play happening in the back. These are the first 3 points that should be done effective immediately. 4 is to increase police salary. Like, I couldn't agree more. If we go back to the fact that in 2010, a report came out that the SARS have extorted a total of 60 million from illegal stop and search, harassing people on the street. Like, these things will not be happening if people had money to feed themselves and their family. So the fourth point is increase police salary. The last point is psychological evaluation and retraining of police prior to their employment. I personally don't think these 5 things are ridiculous. If the government really claim to understand why these things need to be stopped, if they actually are coming out publicly to support the disbandment of SARS, none of these 5 points sound ridiculous in my opinion. So with all of this background information provided, the real question is, what can you do? What can you do? Now, the first thing is, well, let's talk about what you can do that doesn't even involve money. I know that there's still a lot of trend regarding End SARS petition or the End SARS text message challenge to your state senators. But the reality is the government have announced that they've disbanded SARS. So I'm not trivializing that hashtag. But really, the fact that there's still a lot of angry youth in the streets protesting for a total police reform, I think that our greatest strength lies with social media and our platforms. How much we can advocate, how much we can show up, how much we can spread the message, how much we can amplify our voices or the voices of the people who have been supporting this cause for the longest time. So, like I said, I'm not trivializing the hashtag EndSARS, but now we're trying to test the government to say, okay, how much do you really mean when you say you've really ended SARS? Okay, so let's actually start using the hashtag 545 and also total police reform, because that's basically what people are advocating for. Use your platform, amplify the voices of people, amplify your own voices. That's the way that we can spread the message, and that's the way we can get international attention, which will inevitably put pressure on the Nigerian government. Another thing that you can do that doesn't involve any money is joining a peaceful protest. The fact of the matter is, right, if people don't want you to protest, they will always find a reason to trivialize that protest or to accuse you of causing harm. But if you go to a protest with the intention not to vandalize, not to cause any chaos, but to prove a point to the government, I believe that works. So join a peaceful protest if you're physically on ground in Nigeria. There is still the pandemic, so please make sure to be safe and put on a mask if you're going to join a physical protest in Nigeria. Now, let's talk about things that involve money. Donation. We personally as a family have donated through the Flutter Wave, which was a company that I had researched, and they had set up a fund to help with the medical bills of people that were injured during the protest. There's also the fund for the legal fees of people who were detained illegally. There is a fund to host and to cater to protesters that are spending overnight in places that are not comfortable. So these are ways that you can help. There is also the Feminist Coalition Fund. From my research, these are the two that I have been made aware of, and I have almost gotten like the green light that they're good enough to make the donation. Please, if you know of any other funds that are available, please leave a comment below or call that to our attention so that we can spread the word. I'm just gonna end this video with my personal emotional take out of all of this that's happening. First, I feel very heartbroken. I feel very sad. And I've described this as being away when your house is burning. That's literally the way that I feel. I wish that I was physically on ground in Nigeria. As you guys know, literally all of my family live in Nigeria. I mean, it hits so close to home for me that the last few days have not been easy for me. However, I couldn't be more proud at the resilience of the Nigerian youth, the strength, the proactivity to show up regardless of how it is perceived. I'm very proud to everybody who have showed up to a peaceful protest, who have advocated online. I'm so grateful for social media and the digital platform, because personally, this is the best way I feel like I can get involved without physically being on the ground in Nigeria. I'm grateful that I have my platform and I can spread the message that is relevant and expect that it's in some way influences change. So personally, I want to just commend everyone who is taking a front row seat at this, and I'm very hopeful for change. I know that it's going to come really slow because the older generation have no plans of leaving. They're still there. We wish them well. We wish them good health. But the reality is, I think us millennials were really cut from a different cloth. And I'm really proud at the fact that we're willing to take a chance to make sure that our future is secured. I have hope for Nigeria. The change might be slow, but I know that it will come. So once again, thank you so much to everybody who has been at the front row of this fight. We will not sleep until change comes. Thank you so much.